Hi everyone. Today we did get another big move up, gap higher on the news of potential talks with China and a Ukraine minerals deal. So that was enough to drive markets higher right to that trend line. We said if we got above 559, we would push to the trend here. And sure enough, we did. Your next level is going to be 569.90, but let's take a quick look at the charts as we head into the weekend. Do me a quick favor and like and subscribe and watch the video till the end to help out the channel, and let's get started. In news today, we did get the earnings report here. You can see U.S. payrolls rose by 177,000, which was down slightly from the previous, but much better than expectations at 133,000. Unemployment rate stayed flat. Hourly earnings a little bit below forecast, and the annual rate also a little bit below forecast. So we are seeing a decline in earnings. But on the jobs numbers, pretty good, a little better than expectations. The economy is still a little bit more resilient than you would have thought. You can see we had a really low period of unemployment. We've slowly gone a little bit higher here and there, but flat here for this read. This is still full employment. If this ticks up above 4.5, I think that's going to be catastrophic for markets. But this was good enough to give markets a little bit of calm and allow for the rally today. And then looking at fear and greed, we stepped down to a 43, back down into regular fear here today, which is interesting considering that markets were up today. You can see it did step higher, but to a 43. The previous was a 47. I wonder if that was just off a little bit, but continuing to head higher here, you have that 125 EMA up there at 56.86. Is that what we're going to get, where we got a clean break here, continuation lower, retest, another continuation lower potentially? Strength has improved. In breadth has hit extreme greed, and I agree. We've been talking about that over the last couple of days, how the 20-day breadth has hit really peak levels. Put call ratio still in fear, still rolling to the downside. Volatility went a little bit lower today. Interesting. Safe haven demand hitting extreme greed, massive move over the last 20 days relative to bonds. Interesting. And junk bonds back into extreme fear. So you got a little bit of mixed signals here. Super high number on safe haven demand. Is this peak recovery? I think there are some indicators here that say, yes, we are. Moving over to the economic calendar, you can see all of that red for employment earnings, but non-farms pretty good on the private and the public non-farms. And then you can see unemployment rate flat, factory orders down a little bit, nothing terrible. Overall, pretty good data. Moving over to the SPY charts here, you can see we got right to that trend line, major trend line. We talked about that zone being important, and we did hit it almost to the penny there on a closing basis. We're right at it. You also got the 200 just above there at 570.13. Is this going to be the zone where we finally show a little bit of rejection? We've retraced a lot of this move here. You can see to the bottom we were down about 20%, and now we are down only 7% from the highs. Again, that's a big retracement. We've consolidated through here. Is this the interesting point, or are we going to push through there right back to all-time highs? Remains to be seen. Momentum still bullish, RSI still bullish, so we'll see. Critical zone here as we head into next week. And then looking at that hourly chart, like I said on the intro, as soon as we got above 559, should have expected that we were going to push at least to the trend here, which we did. The next level, 569.90, if we can get through there. And then above that, I have 578.87. So looking for it to hold through here if it's going to do it. Really powerful moves higher. All of the dips lower were met with buyers. So makes sense. Everything continues to be on this bullish trajectory. Then moving over to those tasty charts here, you can see on the hourly chart, we did push back above that 8 EMA on the gap higher, and then once we were above it there, it was bullish all day right to that second ATR band, 567.02. We're currently stuck below there. If you can get above it, that upper band is at 569.46, which is pretty much in line with that 200. So expect at least a little bit of a push higher, hit that 200, and then we'll see, do markets have the momentum to push through there, or are we going to reject to lower lows after we get that touch? Right now, we're still in bullish conditions, and that is the expectation. And then looking at the Qs here, we went right to that 200 there at 489.81. That is the critical zone. Are we going to reject from that 200? You can see the breakdown retest, huge continuation lower after that. Is this the zone where it happens again? Do we overthrow it a little bit, wait for the SPY chart to hit that 200? That's probably the more likely case, but this is going to be a major point of resistance, and that is currently at 489.81, like I said. So critical point there. And then looking at the hourly chart here, really the same thesis. The level is 486.84. Once we got above that early in the session, it was all bullish all day, held that through the close. Really, once 477 held last night, you could have looked to buy in there and then get the continuation through. That would have been a little bit tough with the after hours into the pre-market, but either way, got above the level here, held that level through the session. Moving over to the Tasty charts here for the NASDAQ, similar thesis to the SPY, did get above that 8 and then rallied through that second, almost to the upper band, didn't quite get there, and then we pulled back to the 8 EMA. That continues to be support at 488.60. We closed above it by about 20 cents, so continues to be bullish conditions here. Your trailing stop is 485.10. Continuing to watch this zone in here, but as long as we continue to grind through here and hold these higher lows, we are still in that bullish structure. Moving over to the Russell and the Dow. The Russell had a nice move, 2.5% on the day, right to that 55 EMA. That is at 201.28. Is it going to reject from that 55? 201.88 is my level. Once you got above 198, that was a nice move. We said yesterday 195 was support, held that yesterday, got the nice continuation to the level overnight. Momentum back to bullish, RSI back to bullish. Again, this is a pretty solid move already. We're up about 16% from bottom to top. Is it going to culminate in here? It's hard to say, but this is a critical zone, similarly to what we saw on the NASDAQ and the SPY charts. The Dow did get through that 412 area. Right now it's at 413. 55 EMA is there as well at 415.31. Next level 418.38. Moving over to the Mag 7, similar thesis as everything else. Looking at that 200 on the daily chart, that is at 287.22. We'd finally touched it officially here today. We got above 283.46. We're in this zone. Momentum still bullish. RSI still bullish. Is this the key area where the bears come back to defend at this level? If they're going to do it, this is really the spot, but we have not seen the bears really take hold of this market in a major way since back here on the 22nd. Moving over to Apple and Microsoft. Apple did continue lower on that gap down. You can see it gap down and sold through that 207.14 level. Is this one of the starts of the sell? You can see momentum rolling to the bear side. RSI also below the SMA there. So finally we're getting some breakdowns on the Mag 7. Apple leading to the downside by a lot. And then you can see Microsoft positive 2%, still above that 429 level, looking for 440 if you're looking for this trade. That was the setup here. Got very close to it. The low of day was 429.99. Could have bought it in that zone and then look for the rally here to that 440.72 level. Moving over to Amazon and Alphabet. Amazon was down only 0.12 after being down about 5% at one point after earnings. Came down and tested the 188.61 level, and you can see it is slowing on the momentum, but not a lot. You can see flat over the last 2 days. Still rejected off the 191.64 level, but through an intraday high in there. So honestly held up really, really well. I expected this to be more like what we saw out of Apple today. And then you can see Alphabet, nice move up, 1.86%. It was clean above 161.59 yesterday. Looking for this to push to 170.95. Still finding resistance there at the 55-day moving average at 165.92. Moving over to Breadth. 20-day Breadth has peaked. It's got to have peaked. This is as high as it goes, 88.46. You can see that's above this consolidation, above this consolidation. Let's go a little bit further back here. You can see we got into this range 92, 91, 90-ish area in here. And then you have to go all the way back to December of 23, November of 23. We got into that same range. Just does not get here very often. And that's where we are now. Expecting maybe 1 or 2 more days of push. You can see last time we were here, we got like 3 or 4 days before we did see that bigger sell. So understand it's coming. Is it today or is it Monday or Tuesday? It's hard to say, but before the end of next week, I would expect to see at least some kind of selling. And then 50-day, you can see, did get above the 200 there, did get above the 52 level. Let's go ahead and extend out this trend line here. Just barely below it. I expect we'll see at least a touch of that. Might be Monday, Tuesday. Momentum, super bullish, RSI. Almost overbought on both of these here. You can see 66.7 and 67.84. So almost overbought. We'll hit overbought conditions, and then I would expect this to sell at some point next week or early the week after. Moving over to J&K and TLT, both of these had An okay day. J&K was up about a third, so that's okay. TLT was down pretty decent, about 1%, but still in the same kind of trading range. Again, still buying opportunity. Anything below 89 has been a nice buying opportunity, going back to here all the way through, and then going back to here all the way down to 82. Really good buying opportunity, and then rallied out. So expecting this to be a buying opportunity, anything below 89. So you're at 87 now. Could it go lower? For sure. Will it go too much lower over the next 6 months? I would say probably not. Moving over to my accounts, I did take a couple of trades. Overall positive on the day. Back to green across the board for the year, so you like to see that. If we can get above that 200 and hold that structure, I think we could see some higher highs to come, but that 200 is going to be major resistance, so I didn't want to hold anything into it. That's kind of been my MO. I wanted to stay short yesterday, and that would have been a terrible trade. We ended up gapping up overnight, so the structure is very much still bullish, but we have that major 200 overhead resistance. You can see 55 EMAs on a lot of the different charts that we talked about, so very concerned about that. Do I think we're lower in 2 weeks from now? I think absolutely we will be. So watching out for that. Do we see a change in structure? Maybe not so much. Let me know down in the comments section what you thought of the markets today. Did you expect the gap higher overnight, or was that a surprise? Put it down in the comments. Otherwise, like and subscribe if you got any value out of this video. Make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Of course, none of this is financial advice. This is all for entertainment purposes. Good luck in your trading and have a great day.